So here we go. In this case, these represent times traveling to work in minutes, okay? And I asked you to arrange it. I may or may not tell you to do so, but if I do ask you, it's for sure a mark, okay? Then we determine the mean, median, mode, and I ask you, what does the median tell us, right? So arranging, if you arrange this properly, I go from smallest to largest. That's called ascending order, right? And so you arrange it like that. This could be done on a number line, to be honest, where it's to scale, but that doesn't matter. Here we have it. So the mean is simply adding everything up. I want to see this number. You don't have to like show me how you add everything, but I need to see the sum of all your values and then divide it by how many values you're considering. So this is on average how long it will take you to drive to work. Okay? Median. I don't know if you looked at the key. This might be a little puzzling to you. How do you find the median? You can guess and check, but this is the shortcut that I'm going to ask you to copy into your booklets in a bit. So what I do is I take the number of values and I split it in half. Oh, by the way, this is an even number of, right? I've got 22 numbers, so I will not be able to just pick one. I have to calculate. I have to add two numbers and divide it by 2. How do you know which two numbers to add? Okay, you split this in half. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. That means that you're going to have to add the 11th and the 12th value, then divide it by 2. That's the shortcut. I'll put that in your notes just a bit. You don't have to write this down right now because it might not make sense. But bottom line is that you have to add 28 and 32. And if you think about it, if you cover that up, you should have the same amount of values on either side of those two. That's how you know you're right. So if this doesn't make sense to you, you can just do guess and check. It's not that hard to do, but it needs to be arranged for this to work. You can't just grab the 11th and 12th value from this random list here. Anyways, if you add this up, you get 60. If you divide it by 2, you get 30 minutes. So that's your median. Median commute time. Median time to drive to work. Which means that half of the commutes were shorter than 30 minutes and half of them are longer than 30 minutes. That's what the 30 tells you. Okay? It is trying, MCTs, they're all trying to find the middle of your data set. Sort of. They're trying their best, but they're not always successful. But you can see that the mean and the median, they're fairly close to each other. That is usually a good sign. And then the mode, the only mode you have is 45 minutes. It shows up 2 times. Okay, so that's your mode. I ask you, this question is asking you if there are any outliers. If so, state them. And you should see that there is an outlier. Okay, so are there any outliers? Yes, 105 is very different than the rest. Okay, so I state the outlier. Outlier is 105 minutes. And why is that? Why is that possibly the case? The person could have had a flat tire that day, or it could have been a winter storm like yesterday. So you just use your imagination. If it ever asks you, why could that be? Why is the outlier there? That's what you just make up a story. Okay? Most of the time they'll be very relatable, like you'll be able to relate to the scenario. It won't be like something abstract. Another thing I want to say here, if you have an outlier like this, the mean is usually not a good measure of central tendency. Okay, why is that? Because it's an anomaly, and when you're adding up all your values, you're including that anomaly there. The outlier is included here. So that's, in general, you would want to say that the mean is not a good MCT, not a good measure of central tendency, because of the outlier. Right? This is the arithmetic mean. Later on, we're going to talk about other means. We're going to talk about the trimmed mean, where we're trimming values, and the weighted mean, where we have different weights for different categories. Okay, so I'm going to add this. If you can add this to your notes on this one. I don't know if you answered D already. I'll just add this to the key here. Due to the outlier, just say this is for D, just say outlier is 105. And due to the outlier, the arithmetic mean, this is on page 7, is not a good measure of central tendency. Right? If you have the tendency to do something, that means that there's a high likelihood of you doing something, right? So a measure of central tendency is like, what is the likelihood that most of my data points are kind of close to that number? And in this case, the median would be the best, okay? The median would be the best MCT here, because it's in the middle. We have half below, half above, as well as the fact that the mode, look at the mode is 45. It's actually on the upper end of my value set. Okay, so that's why the mode is, in this case, also not a good one. So maybe I'll add that next to mode. If you're writing this down, I'm going to block you for a little bit. I'm just going to say not close to center. Therefore, not a good MCT. I'm just going to go MCT in this case, measure of central tendency. And I'm going to highlight what I just added here. Not close to the center, not a good MCT. Due to the outlier, the arithmetic mean is not a good measure of central tendency. I'm too arithmetic mean, I meant to say. Sorry, I'm a little off. I'm still waking up, I guess. It's not a good measure of central tendency. So add that to your notes there. And we're going to briefly go back to median in our notes. I think it's page 5 or so. And I'm going to ask you to add this shortcut, this piece right here. So page 4. Under page 4, when it's odd and even, there's 2 cases, okay? This is on page 4. We could easily tell that it's the third value here, correct? It's the third value. But this is a shortcut. The median is going to be number of values divided by 2, okay? And then round to whole number. Okay, that's how you find the median, like which one is it? Okay, so for example, 5 divided by 2 is what? 2.5. What would that round to? The third. It's the third value. So 1, 2, 3. It's the third value right there. Okay. So that's what I mean with this. You know what? Only use this if it's a really large data set. If it's small enough, I would just pick it based on what I see. Right? I wouldn't use this necessarily unless it's like a 50 or more number of values in the set. Right? So I don't know if you want to do this. Like I found that it's the third number by doing this calculation. And there is the third, right? That's what I'm trying to find there. So it doesn't tell you the median answer, but it tells you which one to go pick, which is number 6. When it's even, it's a little different. Okay, median. First you're gonna have to do is, let's just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So 6 values. Divided by 2, okay? So that tells you that you're going to have to add What's 6 divided by 2? That's 3, right? So you're going to have to take the third value and the one right next to it, which is the fourth, and then divide it by 2. So what's the third and the fourth? This is the third value. This is the fourth value. So don't add 3 plus 4, please. Okay, I'm telling you to take the third value and the fourth value, add those up. So it's 6 plus 10 divided by 2. That's 16 divided by 2. So that's 8 units. Okay. This is the shortcut for finding the median, like which two values am I gonna have to add, and that's this box right here. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a different color. Okay, that's to find the median. However, only use it if it's big, okay, if the value is big. If it's a small enough number of values, just go find it, right? It's so easy to just go pick it. And the safest way is to always check, like, how many are there to either side of either the 2 that you need to add and divide by 2 or the 1. Always make sure you have the same number of values on either side. Anyways, keep going. Let's go to page 9. Oh, 8, sorry, 8. I meant to say 8. The daily temperatures. Make sure you add some of these things that I'm mentioning. So when you have this, am I asking the average only here? A range, mean, median, and so that's what I'm asking you to do. So you might as well arrange it. So you go from lowest all the way to the highest temperature. You go all the way down to negative 33 and all the way up to positive 3.3. Okay? So arranging, and the mean, you should be comfortable adding your negatives, right? You get negative 216.2 divided by 12 days, or sorry, 12 months here. So it's, on average, it's negative 18.02 degrees Celsius in Nunavut. It's like, wow, that's pretty cold, right? On average. So you figure that out. That shouldn't be a big issue there. Determine the median. So here again, the median, it's even, correct? So watch what I did. I went 12 divided by 2. That means that I have to take the 6th and the 7th value, divide that by 2. And this is tricky, right? The 6th and the 7th in my ordered list are these two here. Okay, so I take those two, and it's adding negatives. So on your calculator, if you want to do this, right, you got to make sure you do this right. So I can just go minus 24.4. You can go plus negative if you want, but it's really just subtracting again. Okay, so you get negative 43.8 divided by 2, and you get negative 21.9 degrees Celsius here. So that's, you got to be comfortable with your negatives there. Okay. What does this answer? What does this answer mean? That half of the year the average temperature is below negative 21.9 and half it's above. This may be a multiple choice type of scenario. I might ask you to explain what the median tells you, so make sure you understand that. Is there a mode here? A mode average temperature? The answer is no. Not a single, oh, there is. I never asked you this. Oh, shoot. I apologize. There is a mode right there, and you were paying attention, so that's good. I never asked you for it, did I? No. So why don't we just write down the mode is negative 32.4 degrees Celsius. So make sure you have a unit attached to it. Okay. There you go. So if you're comfortable with that, you're in pretty good shape. Now, the fill in the blank, the puzzle one, I need to talk to you about that one. I didn't talk about it yet, so if you weren't able to do it, I don't blame you. So let's go to page 9. This is going to be, I'm going to sneak this into ACs from time to time. a provincial exam had this as well. So I'm just going to call this, I'm going to give this a little bit of a heading, puzzles. Okay, these are puzzles. Using numbers, so they will always give you a bit of an indication. You can only use 1 to 9, 1 to 20, you name it. In this case, you can only use 1 to 9. Fill in the blanks such that the average is 6. Okay, that's the mean. The median is 7. And the mode is 9. Okay. Which one should you start with, you think? Which one of those three would be an easy slam dunk, you know where it goes? The average? I think that one is hard. I wouldn't know yet. The median. Where is the median? Always in the middle. So you got a mark on the exam. If you put the 7 here, this is the first thing I do. First. And I can't prepare you for everything, but you know, these kinds of situations may emerge. What is the next one that would be fairly easy to do? You never calculate this one. The mode, right? Where would the mode go? Because median is the middle of an arranged set, correct? So if this is arranged from smallest to largest, I would put the 9s here. Wouldn't you? Now there's 9 and 9. Your mode is taken care of, right? Check. So you got your median check. You already got 2 out of the 3 marks there. And now there's one more thing. The average. Okay? And what you want to do is, to get the 6, what did you divide the sum by? How many values did we have here? 5. Okay? So what we do is 6, right, times 5 values is a sum of 30. I need a sum of 30. I need these 5 numbers to add up to 30, correct? So I need this whole thing to add up to 30, because if I divide 30 by 5, I get back to my average of 6. Okay. And how much does this add up to already? 9 and 9 is 18, plus 7, that's 25. So these two must add up to 5, right? There's no other way. So you have a few choices here. You can go 1 and 4. Okay, 1 and 4. You could go 2 and 3. There's no 0 and 5. If 0 had been an option, you could have gone 0, 5, but in this case we don't. Okay. So that's how you do this. So 14799 or 23799. It's up to you how you want to do it. So there's a little bit of an open-ended component to this. Why don't you practice this right away on the bottom here? Now you have 1 to 20 to play with. You've got your information as stated. Try to fill this in by yourself. Could you do it? It's a puzzle. Remember that. Okay, using numbers 1 to 20, median is 11, the mode is 5. Where should it be, left or right of the median? Left, because it's arranged, right? 5, 5. Okay, so I automatically say this is 10 and 11, that's 21. I know the whole thing needs to add up to, you take your average, and in this case it's 5 values, right? So I just go times 5 values, right? So the sum should be 50 units, whatever it is. So this tells me that I need all of these to add up to 50. So now that you subtract, right? If it's 50 minus 21, that gives you 29, right? And now you have numbers 1 to 20 to fill in here. Just make sure they're bigger than 11. That's all you need to make sure. Okay, so you could do 12 and 12 is bigger, right? So 12 and 17. You could do that. You could do 14 and 15. That would work. You could do 13 and 16. Right? All of that would work. 11 wouldn't work. Why would 11? 11 and 18 wouldn't work because now you've got two modes. That's why 11 doesn't work. So you got to be careful. Sometimes you're just going to want to fill it in to make it work, but you got to watch out that you don't disrupt the other requirements. Okay? Because if this said that the mode is 5, 11, you can have two modes. Okay, now you're talking. Now you could have had 11 and 18, so you just got to watch out for that. Okay? All right. I do have an AC ready. We're going to hold off on the AC. I ran out of time, but you're going to be fine. That way I can have an AC with this puzzle and tomorrow. That's all it's going to change. All right, I think you're going to be all right. So